Hey, what's up everyone? Justin Anchetta from the SF Garnish music production location. Thanks for your patience. We were going to start at 11 today and we're starting closer to 11:15. So what we're going to talk about today is the West Coast Wobble. That's right, the West Coast Wobble. We're talking about the low end, the bass, and how do you get that sound. All right, I'm going to get into it right away and start with a fresh Ableton set. One of the reasons why we had a little bit of a slowdown today was that I had to update to Big Sur to get Ableton 11 working smoothly. So if you have any trouble with the new Ableton 11 that came out just a few days ago, that might help you out. I also cleared off quite a bit of space on my main SSD drive on my Mac Mini. So here we are in Ableton 11. It looks very similar to Ableton 10. Some of the functionality over here is pretty cool when you get into audio effects. They have this organized in a really cool way. In the Ableton 10 suite, this is dropped down quite a bit. So you have to kind of know what each thing is here to kind of get into the specifics of it. So your terminologies. That's stuff that you can learn at the Garnish locations, either in person at our boutique schools worldwide or online with us. If you want more information about that, please contact us at sf@garnishmusicproduction.com. Thank you, Garnish TV, for hosting us today and Garnish Worldwide. I'm going to get right into it. I started off with a really simple set. Okay, so just a empty MIDI, empty audio track. I have my push 2 up in front of me that I can also show you guys some tricks on there too today. And I'm just going to bring in, so to get the bass going good, we really want to, let's go ahead and get some bass sounds. Simpler. All right. Bass. Okay, so you could actually go in here to your presets and actually look at something that says wobble. That actually might help out a little bit. Okay, but we want to kind of be able to do it from scratch, because that's the cool thing about Ableton is you can create your own sounds or take the factory presets and then manipulate them as you want to. All right, so how is that wobble happening? So that's being played because our headphone is on right here, this little extra piece right there, and then also our output, our Q out, is going to 3, and I'm sending that through my X32, which is my audio interface. So make sure that you have your extra output set in your settings if you want a separate Q out, your headphone out, versus your master. That really helps out if you want a click track for the musicians in the studio and then your mains not having the click track, for example, for any reason, maybe a live show or something. So we could literally just take this and drop this right in to our MIDI track and play this on our push. All right, it's super fast. So I can actually turn my metronome down to get this to be a slower wobble. All right, so what I'll do today is try and emulate this preset. And we're going to start by fully engaging our record mode there. And notice how I was able to change how fast the wobble was happening by changing our metronome, right? Because this is actually wobbling to the speed, right, of the metronome. But in your song, you don't actually want that to be changing so much because your whole beat is going to also change. Let's go ahead and drop some drums in there as well. Turn on my headphones again. All right. So I'm gonna make a beat here really quick so we can kind of get a feel for what we want. I'm gonna engage the Kingsway kit. Good. One of my presets I'm going to also change in Command, comma, is how you get into this in your preferences. And I want to change my preset right here to exclusive arm. I only want one thing armed at a time. So now when I click on one thing, it disengages the next, right? So here we go. All right, that's what we're going to do. I want that snare on the last hit. Bring that in. All right. I just want 2 phrases for now. All right, so here we are with a little bit of a beat. So it's always good to have a little bit of the beat so that you can hear the wobble going with your tempo. So now we're going to get into, this is a preset, and we're going to also try and emulate this on our own. How do you get the wobble from scratch too? So like I said though, there are presets right in our instruments file right over here, and we went to this wobble. If I want to bring this in and easily find it, I can bring that to my favorites, which is labeled bass, and it'll be in my bass tone now, Aqua Wobble. All right, let's see, what other bass do we want here? Moogie bass. That's pretty cool. That might be a good one for today. Let's go ahead and bring that in too. All right, that one could be fun to wobble. All right, let's get in right into playing along with this with the current Aqua Wobble. And let's make sure we're in the right key. So on the push, let me go ahead and show you guys this instrument over here. If you guys don't have the push 2, I highly encourage getting it. It is one of the best purchases I've ever done. The push 2 right here instantly connects to whatever Ableton you have. I'm currently using Ableton 10 Suite. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. You guys can see that. All right. So there's the push. Let's go ahead and play along. Pressing the play button here. Notice master volume. I'll turn that down so I can talk over the top of this. Octave down over here. Okay, let's try that. All right, so in this situation, you can always do this with your mouse up here and change where you want to start your thing. But for the sake of having this right in front of us and you've seen it, this is the cool part about Push 2 is that you have a physical device that you can really stay away from the screen over here. And let's go ahead and try this out. So I'm going to go into clip, and right away it shows me the entire clip right there. And I'm going to trim the clip. I'm going to crop it where I want to be. So the front and back. So just like that, it's cropped up, and I'm going to quantize. So all the notes are going to be playing, including that front one that wasn't at first because it wasn't in front of that starting point. All right, so there's just a simple way of being able to do this from a preset, and I'm going to customize this sound just a little bit before we get into making our own. Okay. What we really want to be able to do is get that wobble to speed up and slow down and be exactly the way that we want. Sometimes doing that is to create your own completely, your own wobble, and that's what we're going to try and do today in this short period of time. So here is our instrument, okay, Aqua Wobble. And let's go ahead and just mess around with some of these sounds here. I'm still on using my push to control this, but you guys can see it on the screen as well. Let's just try this out a little bit. All right, so this LFO rate, this is the part that we want to manipulate to get the wobble to wobble when and how we want it to. So this is talking about, when I say 1/12, it's talking about the speed. 1/12, 16th note, 1/24, 1/32. When you're in that 1/12 or 24th, it starts being that triplet pattern. Okay, that's why it has these in-betweens. And then even slower, right, all the way down to 1/4 and 5/16. Super slow. All right, and now the tone of this is kind of not the right tone currently that I like. So let's go ahead and before we start doing some automations with this, let's go ahead and figure out what the tone is, the good tone. All right, so if you want to kind of see what's going on here a little bit more, you can extend this out here and open up all the different things that are happening within the parameters. This is kind of cool. This is actually all new right here, which is the macro variations, this minus and plus. If you guys don't know what certain things are in Ableton 11 yet, you can open up this little bottom left-hand triangle and just hover over certain things and it will tell you what it is. Right here, this plus button is saying, this button increases the number of visible macro controls. Okay, and the minus button decreases the number of macro controls. Hidden macro controls retain all of their mappings. So Look at that. So you can always increase different macros and get beyond the 8 that were only given to you from 10. Now you have up to 16 macro controls right there. Pretty awesome. We're going to get into why you want macro controls once we start automating things, because these macro controls makes it very easy on your MIDI device to control the parameters that you want. So let's go ahead and just start getting into customizing this a little bit. I'm going to, right now I'm in record automation mode on the push 2. So when I record, it will actually record the automation. If you don't have a push and you want to make your MIDI device, your Akai, MPK, or whatever you have, record automation, this is the functionality right here, okay? In session view is you have this record button, and you also have this one right here. And also you want to make sure that this is on, automation record, okay? And what you could do is actually MIDI map that, Command M, to anything on your MIDI device, okay? I had the push, so I'm not having to do that. It's already right there for me. One of the benefits of it. All right, let's go ahead and try this out. Now, I want to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. Show automation. So there you go. And there it is. Now we want to automate that even more. So I'm going to go back in here. All right. And noticing that there's a different parameter here is, this is actually, I know what this is. In the new version of 11, it looks like it's doing takes, right? So we want to make sure that we are creating our automation. I'm going to have to actually learn 11. Every time there's an upgrade, there's little things you're going to have to learn here. And we're going through that learning process live with you guys right now, because I literally just downloaded this yesterday. Let's try this out. There we go. Okay. Show automation. Okay. It just went to a different automation. It did catch it. I'm glad that was not a new feature of Ableton 11. So it did record my automation. Remember, if this isn't recording your automation, you have to engage this function right here, okay, and then turn on that. And all of these shortcut codes can be mapped by Command M to your MIDI device, whatever you want it to be. Okay, so that is our filter cutoff, and you can see that right here it's saying filter cutoff. Anything that you have automated turns red, so you can easily get to things that are automated versus not, and you don't get lost in all that. I want to also do a few more automations here, so let's try that out. Great. Now what you can also do is, just to simplify your file, is you can select all, which is Command A, right click on your automation and say simplify envelope. Okay, so what this does is this really allows you to have simpler points so that you can easily move things around instead of having to work with these very small dots everywhere. A great feature right there to simplify your automation. Okay, here we are. I think we're ready. All right, so something about Ableton 11 that's a little bit different is that there are, it's a capacity to take a take, to do different takes, right, of your automation or of your track and save them all. So that's what's happening right here, is that very ending kind of got cut off. I'm going to redo that right there by making more markers. All right. So what I want to do is kind of get some feel into this to where it's just feeling a little bit more how I want it. So I'm going to bring this feel into my Kingsway kit. And there we go, groove. Quantize. Looks a little bit different, Ableton 11. Don't be daunted by the changes though. Every time that they've upgraded, it ends up having the things that I want. Just have to learn the next little shortcuts, etc. of your workflow. Yeah. All right, so my hi-hat definitely changed there. Notice how if I put none on here, it's very straight feel. Now notice how this is a very drastic change. I actually want to do that in the middle of this. So Command D, I'm going to duplicate this down. This groove here is going to be quantized to that swing I want, and this one is going to be quantized to the triplet pattern. So I can then switch between the two in session view. So that's one way to be able to use groove in a very drastic way to even put a triplet pattern of your kick and your wobble easily, just changing the groove to a triplet pattern. So notice my setting right here is this triplet 02. Notice how my bass node right here is set to 1/8 triplet. Okay, and then it's showing how much I'm quantizing right here. 80% quantized, timing 59, randomized 10, and velocity 20. The randomization allows for that human accidental feel to come in. And then in the other setting, I have the 16th note engaged and to quantize and to kind of get that backbeat feel. So now I can name this, right? Rename this as it's kind of hip hop feel. And then this right here is more of a triplet feel. I often name this with the parts of a song, but as I'm starting off with writing the song, it just becomes a vibe or a feel that I can remember, I can get back to. I might even want to color code this. If I want something to show up differently in front of me, I might just make these a different color so I can easily see them. Another thing with the push, if you guys have the push too, is I might color code one of my tracks a similar color so that I can see the similar color as well on the push itself. Okay, actually I'll give you an example of that right here. Why don't I come back and bring in the push here while we just play back and forth. The last part today I'm going to get into is trying to emulate this from scratch. So stay tuned for that. So we're back into the push, and notice how the color coding on the push is shown by these tracks that we have right here. Okay. So I know that I can go in. I'm in session view right down here. All right. The last part with this today of this exact thing is I want to add a device. Let's add a device to my master. Well, actually, let's add a group track. Sorry, in the future, I'm going to make sure that I just have a stand so I can use both my hands here. Not have to hold a camera for you. So I'll apologize. You guys won't be seeing my push while I do this part. I'm going to do it on the screen though, so you guys can see that I'm holding right here. I'm selecting the name and then pressing Shift, selecting the last name, Command G, and I'm going to group the tracks. That means that all of those tracks will be sent through the group track. I'm going to call this all effects for now, because whatever I have in that all effects track, I can now add a device to that on my push. Coming down to effects, I have something called the Will Marshall DB07, and I'm going to load that in. All right, so let's go ahead and mess around a little bit with this. You guys can see that on my screen as I'm moving this around. That's my beat masher and fade to gray are my main ones, and then I'll possibly do a little bit of pitch down while we're working through this. All right. So we can actually record those. And actually what I would like to do is record that into arrangement view. Just for all you guys that are just beginning, changing from arrangement view to session view is just by pressing the tab function. I can also close out this left side to make it a little bit bigger by clicking up here in the upper left-hand corner. And this looks pretty small. I can expand my group out so I can see all my tracks. I'm going to also close it down in this view. All right, so let's go ahead and record this into this view. All right, so here we are in arrangement view, and it recorded into arrangement view because I pressed the main master record, and I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. All of my automation is right here. The reason why it's grayed out is because, press tab, we are seeing the session view here engaged. Okay, so if I want to engage this, there's a function right up here, upper right hand side. When I click this, it engages arrangement view so that we're now listening to the arrangement view side. All of the automations I just did are over here. Let's go ahead and click this and see what it sounds like. All right, so that is something that I want. Now, if I actually want this to record, be able to copy over to session view again, the effects in up here is actually for the all effects, is more for like recording for your final mix session. If you're still in songwriting mode, you might want to put these effects right onto the track itself. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy this right onto my wobble bass, my add audio effects here, this section that I'm pointing at, and paste. So Command C and then Command V, and dropping that in. And let's go ahead and do the same thing with our other track, which is our Kingway. I'm going to expand this out. So the arrows show where and how it's expanded. Dropping audio effects at the end for here. All right. So now I'm just going to go ahead and disengage my all effects from this channel and just use it directly on the track and see if that might still work. All right, so it is working. The reason why you're seeing this automation right now is I clicked A. If you click A again, it takes out automation, or you can put it in. The reason why I want to take it away now is I actually want to take all this, what I just recorded. I'm going to go ahead and take these two tracks. Notice how I'm starting with the Aqua Wobble track. Remember where you're at. Command C, pressing Tab. I'm now going to drop this into, I'm going to take off all my returns here. Up bottom area. There you go. See how I can have more of that. And I'm going to paste this in. And let's see if we have all that automation. And we do. So this is the really important thing, you guys, about what I just did is I'm using session view for certain purposes of my, creating a song. And then I move over to arrangement view to create some automations. And then I'm copying those automations and putting them back into session view so I can easily go from part A, B, C, D to either do a live show or start creating the format of the song, right? The verse, chorus, intro, outro sections of the song. So really important that hopefully you guys got that. If you guys didn't get what I just did, please just rewind this. This is going to be on all of our channels for replay. If you like what you see here, please like and subscribe to all of our pages. There's a bunch of social media out there. I'm going to name this now. This is called, let's see, Sampled. Sampled Up. Because we're kind of doing some DJ effects. It's probably not the best name, but awesome. So this is a new feature right here. Hey. So right away in Ableton 11, if you guys don't have Ableton 11, this won't show up for you. When I expanded this out, these numbers are pretty awesome. It is saying 80 BPM, right, which is the tempo, and it's also saying the time signature. So if we want to actually speed up or slow down for certain areas, we can actually do that. Well, let's actually try this out. 85 BPM right here, and let's do 90 here. Okay, so it'll actually slowly speed up. There's an old school way of doing that by if you name a track with the BPM, right? So I go 90 BPM and then the name. Interesting. They took away that feature. Yep, they actually took away that feature. So now it's actually over here. Small change up. I do like that change. Seems like a good change. We'll find out. Kind of have to get used to certain things. All right, 85. $80. Notice how that's sped up to 90 BPM. So you can easily just create new parts by just taking a certain part of your bass or your keys, your kick, your snare, and create your next section of your song and start jamming with it. The last part today, looks like we only have a few more minutes here, is I'm going to start from scratch with a MIDI track. So Command-Shift-T. If I bring in a MIDI track, right, this is on its own thing outside of our all effects. Another way that you can do that is just dragging and dropping your instrument right in here. So let's go ahead and start from real scratch, which is, let's go into operator and literally just bring in something that's just basic and simple. All right, so that's a little bit of a wash bass. So sub sine is kind of cool. It's just a simple low end. If I had a subwoofer, this would really bring that out. And there's a couple different features here. I'm going to be playing my push for y'all. Cool, I have my QSCs here, 10s, and they're really thumping. Cool. I'll turn that down so I can talk over the top a little bit. All right. So we already have a bass line that I played. Instead of me having to replay a bass line, let's just go ahead and copy this MIDI track, Command-C, over to a new area on the new sound. And I'm going to say stop all. This square right here means stop all of your scenes. So nothing plays except the one that I click, which is the basic sub. It's named Aqua Wobble because that's where I took it from. Let's go ahead and rename this just bass sub for now, and also the color. Let's make this blue for bass and make everything match, right? I'm right-clicking to do that and playing it. Okay, notice how there's really not too much going on with this compared to, let's play this one now. There's a lot going on that one. I do like how it's accenting kind of the low end, so it might even be good to bring both in to accent a part of your song. So let's go ahead and get into some auto filter. I'm just going into a basic auto filter here and changing this so it takes out the lows. Okay, now see how that's moving around right there? Might bring our resonation and frequency just between probably, I would say 600 up to like 4K is my guess to hear this. Let's go ahead and try this out. I'm just soloing. Notice how I press solo on just this track. It's another way just to listen to that one. Now, wow, so notice actually that most of these subs are all lower tones. So I'm way lower down. Instead of 600 to 4K, I'm down here in like the 100 zone. Let's make this a little bigger so I can expand this out. And that's another feature that changed. All right, people. Okay, I'm going to use a different EQ. EQ 8. Let's try this one out. EQ 8 can actually be something that can expand bigger, so I can actually show you guys a lot more here. Look at that. So when I expand out, that's what's going to happen. Sorry, autofilter. You don't have enough room to show people. This EQ 8 can do the exact same thing now. It's a little bit more complex looking, but all you're doing is you have the ability to scoop out frequencies. What's great too is there's a spectrum analyzer that shows the tone. It's all low here, nothing on top. Let's go ahead and mess with the tone so I can bring out some other tones. Now, okay, so this is something different with the Ableton 11. It actually took away the automation I just did here. This is based on record mode, and I'm gonna have to figure that out. It's a new feature. I'll come back to you with what I report, but this is also a way you could do it, is just literally copy and paste again, which is, actually, I'm not copy and pasting, I'm Command D. I'm duplicating. All right, so once again, I'm going to go Command A and simplify this so I can really mess around with the exact part. This dropped out in a way that I didn't like, so I can change that up. If you want more detail, you can also go Command 4 and take it off grid. And so you can move this around without connecting to the grid. Command Z that, and I just want this one button. There we go. Now let's see that scoop that's happening right there? We can actually change that to be any direction we want. And the reason how I'm doing this is by pressing the Alt function on my keyboard. Cool. You can really manipulate that. I want more customization, so I'm going to automate a little bit more over here. All right, it thought I wanted to actually take a new area. Let's bring that up there so it doesn't do that. This is the one I want. Show automation. I like that amount right there. Simplify that a little bit. So every time I click on bass here, this huge EQ pops up. I don't really want that, so I'm going to minimize this again right here so that when I click on it, it won't throw me into that big screen anymore, because I've done what I wanted to with this EQ in that larger mode. I'm going to bring that bass down. So this is that new part. I took a simpler version of that. It's not that sampled up version. And the last piece here is I'm just going to do a quick sidechain and then sign off with a few more tidbits of information. If you like what you see here, please like and subscribe to our pages. We teach lessons in digital audio workstations, Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, and we have the producer program, the Academy, sound design, mixing and mastering, beat creation, a lot of awesome things. I'm going to go in here to the dynamics, which is a new feature of Ableton 11. It has my compressor. I'm going to bring that over my bass. All right, and I expand out sidechain to my Kingsway kit, track 4 here. And then I just want it to be on my kick. Okay, so that's when it engages. Let's go ahead and see how this is. So I just changed to a different mode that shows the threshold. I really want to make sure that you guys understand a little bit of this with the threshold. Okay, the threshold means when does it actually engage your compression. I'm going to bring it down so it engages every time it gets to this volume, and our Kingsway kick bass note, our kick, engages. Notice this GR right here. You're seeing this move every time the kick comes in. And what it's doing is it's ducking the bass so that big thud of the kick can come through. Nice. So what I probably want to do is bring this into my effects all and group my bass tracks so I can really work with them together, maybe having some specific effects for them. So bass all, anything that is a group, I do capital, so I know there's stuff inside of it. It's just an organizational tool that I have. And let's take this compressor and bring it right into our bass all, so it should engage for the Aqua Wobble as well. Let's try this out. Nice. So I actually want to create a few more scenes here. I'm going to duplicate this scene down. So I'm literally just selecting the master scene, duplicating that down, and I want to make sure that I have a regular wobble going on, not triplet, hip-hop feel, and paste that down. Let's have both our basses. That is thudding. If you guys want to learn more about how to make it thud, just follow along. Join us on our Tuesdays, 6 to 9. We have a Beer and Beats meetup. I believe you can find that on our website, sf.garnishmusicproduction.com. And thank you, Garnish TV, for having the San Francisco branch represent the West Coast Wednesdays Wobble today. We have a guest artist coming up in the near future, Nate Hendricks, one of our teachers, and also Moldover, who has created his own MIDI instruments, customizations, working with a lot of things, including Clifex Pro and other VSTs and plugins. He's actually created his own devices for Ableton. An incredible engineer and one of our teachers here in the Bay Area. Thank you guys so much for being with us. My name is Justin Anchetta from... Sorry about that. I have a different camera I want to use today. There we go. My name is Justin Anchetta from SF Garnish Music Production. Thank you guys for being with us. We will end it on a big wobble out. And if you guys want to be in touch with us, please contact garnish.tv, garnish.edu, and we will be in touch with you really soon. Our branch is called sf.garnishmusicproduction.com. See us in the Bay Area or online for lessons, and we'll be in touch real soon. Take care. Thank you.